Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your very humble host, Mr. David Knoll, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, is my Native American shaman name. Um, I greet you always with the love and the honor and the blessings that you deserve from the infinite Creator. I always wish to greet you with blessings and that you will understand and receive the blessings from the universe and the knowledge therein. Now, this particular video is about the inner journey to outer space, basically. I mentioned in that this is the inner space journey to outer space. Okay. Now, let me explain what that kind of means. Just a little bit of a definition right here, and then I'll get into a discussion. Good afternoon to you, Miss Marie. Blessings to you, and I hope your son's doing well. Um, Prayers sent to him as well. Now, with this discussion, I realized that, and I'm going to drop a name or two in here, but only as not in any kind of derogatory means. I hope it's not meant to be. But for example, there is many of us know who our Wayne Steiger channel is, and he has a gentleman that comes on. Now, I'm not picking on Wayne, but I'm using this as an example, and about inner space to outer space. Okay. But he has a gentleman on, and I think he was on today, and that they talk with planets. And the idea is that they use divining type devices to ask questions to the universe about the planets and so forth. Okay. Now, with that said, I appreciate that other people are doing things like this. I really do. And I commend the gentleman and R. Wayne for his channel and what he does. Many people listen, and there are lots of good things that come out of that. So I'm saying this in a positive way. But with that said, I'm listening in. I go, well, not to. I don't want to paint as well. Oh well. Okay, Hawkeye, you're a know-it-all. I didn't expect that, but as the questions were being answered, I was like, okay, I think I know that one. And then the answer came out, and I was like, yeah. And then there were people who were in the chat room and Wayne and so forth who were kind of, oh, really? And I was like, well, wait a minute. In my shaman training, I have known some of these things for a long time. And not to say that they're wrong, but I was understood that I was like, somehow I already know these things. I was like, I already knew the answer to that, but go ahead, do your thing. And they were like, okie dokie. So I stayed out of the comment section because I was observing from my point of view and going, Now, I've been watching the stars since I was a child. I'm 66 years old, and I've been watching the sky since I was a Cub Scout at, 8, 9, 10 years old. And I've always had a propensity to being up in the middle of the night watching the star cluster Pleiades. And I've been told in my later life that I am actually from there. I have no proof, but there's a lot of me as a boy who had no idea at the age of 8, 9, 10 what that star constellation, but I'd wake up in the middle of the night and stare at it for hours. Sometimes wake up with my head on the windowsill. But so anyway, what this particular topic is that there are shamans from the beginning of humanity on this planet, and there are also on other planets and universes, but we're going to just stick with this one for now. In that they knew about celestial things. They knew about the movements of the planets. They knew things. I mean, if you think back to the Greeks and Pythagoras and stuff, and where did he come up with the triangle? Where did he come up with the equation? Did some being from outer space come down here and visit him and give him these formulas, these mathematical formulas that are still true after all these years? Or was he connected to the quantum computer, to that out there? And did he meditate on it? And did he learn about mathematics through his inner meditations, which took him to outer realms? No, I speak of outer realms in that, and I'm going to use the term realms in this particular area, and because realms, and for this, well, for usually in my topics of discussion, realms includes dimensions, different universes, the ether, fourth dimension, fifth dimension. These are different realms, but within each of those dimensions, there are realms within the dimensions. So, but anyway, so in my own meditation, in my own shamanic journey, sitting with elders and so forth, and watching the stars and thinking and watching and going, well, there were things that they discussed with me, and these people never looked through a telescope. They knew things about the universe that was handed down through oral traditions, but they also learned while on a shamanic journey, while on a spirit walk. They were shown the universe through meditations and through the inner journey of self. They were taken to outer space. There are descriptions of Jupiter and Saturn and different things, comets. Well, they could see comets, but not every generation or not every shaman in every tribe saw a comet in his lifetime. But they knew about comets. They knew about celestial things. They knew about outer space. Now, there's a lot of, the ancient alien theory, and I'm on board with it because, my biggest thing has always been, how did we learn how to make metal? Somebody had to teach us the correct ratios of this metal and that metal, or this thing and that thing, and sulfur and carbon, and how to heat treat it. Caveman just didn't figure this out on his own. He learned how to use a rock. He saw a rock roll downhill. The wheel was invented, but copper is copper in its own natural right. But in order to make brass, you got to mix something that's on the other side of the mountain. How'd they learn how to do that? Nobody's ever been able to answer that question. But to my point about this, though, I've learned things through meditation that I don't really, I'm not sure I know how I learned it, but I know it in here to be true. Now, I'm always looking at science to prove the theories that I have seen during meditations or during these soul journeys, or however you want to look at it. And I think to myself, well, wait a minute. In my heart, I know this is true. So now there are people who are out there who are using divination and other kinds of things to like kind of prove the theory. Well, I could say I could make these rods turn and my theory could be true. Now, not that I'm saying that that's what happened, but I could influence the rods. I'm not saying these people did, but I'm saying if my energy was such and if I believed in a certain thing enough, if I used rods or some other type of divining thing, because it's attached to me, through me, and using me as the conduit, I could affect the outcome. Just, you got to keep that in mind. So anytime any scientist ever does a test, they've realized over many times that there is this thing that the experiment can be changed simply because the someone is watching the experiment, the observer thing. And it's like, so if you watch something close enough or hard enough, you can actually alter the results from your intent or your expectations or whatever it is. And it's been proven scientifically that this exists. So one of the things you must work into an equation, if you will, is understanding that by my looking at this, me is going to interpret these things. So how I interpret it, how things get filtered, however this works, is going to come through the inside of me for me to understand what's going on in the outside world. I know it's a little convoluted in this, but there's so much more proof of other people who and ancients known this. Now, I do agree that they could very well have been visited by beings from other dimensions, other planets. I'm on board with that. But I'm also suggesting that some of this is available all the time in the quantum. It's always there. The Akashic records, mother, however you want to look at it, but the information is always there. So that those of us who have been able to tap into this information, and I consider myself lucky and humbled that they allow me a direct line to to my spirit guide, and I've learned how to do this. I'm still a novice at this. I am not an expert by any stretch. But with that said, too many things that I have been communicated with and through and by other people are going, yeah, well, oh, yeah, they're agreeing with me. Now, I don't do this for people to agree with me. Actually, I do this to try to plant a seed in people's thoughts to say, wait a minute, maybe there's another point of view in this. So I'm trying to show you there's another point of view. Okay. But now with this, in the shaman training, one of the things they show you is go deep inside. Go inside yourself, relax yourself, control your breathing, the temperature, control your heart rate, control yourself. So through meditation and yoga and all these other physical things, it helps you to achieve. My tongue is tied. It helps you to attain those things inside. So if I can regulate my bloodstream, if I can regulate my heartbeat, which is easy for me to regulate my breathing, and by regulating my breathing, I can regulate my heart rate. So when you do these things, when you understand these certain basics in the universe, and you use them and apply them and understand that, oh my God, this stuff really works. There is this understanding with you, yourself, your spirit, your mind, to the universe that nobody else can take away from you. They can disagree with you. They can call you crazy, craphead. But that what within your own self, if you've meditated with a tree and have experienced this thing, you understand something that unless you've meditated with a tree, you don't have a clue. So you have to experience it. But so many people now, and I'm continuously on this journey of through the inner to the outer, if you will. Any outie? Okay, talk about navels. Anyway, but with that, so to understand outer space is to understand our own inner space. Now, I'm not talking about different beings or stuff, but I mean just that there is an outer space, just that there is a universe beyond this planet. There's so many people who are like really jumping on board with this flat Earth thing, and I'm sorry, I will let you all have it, but it's not in my paradigm, because in my reality, in my shaman journeys and so forth, the planet's round. All the planets are mostly round. Some of them are a little oblong, kind of pear shaped, but by and by, because in nature things are round. It's a common thing. But to have a dome and a disc and we live on a flat earth is not common in the universe. And all we need to do is look at the miniature things. We need to look on the quantum level and understand as above, so below, or so below as above. So things that are in the miniature are also in the maxi in the universe. Now, in the shaman training, you're taught to watch an ant. What? You're taught to watch grass grow. What? You're taught to listen to what the ant says. Wait a minute. It's one thing to watch an ant, but you want me to listen? Well, can you tune into what that ant's doing? Can you watch the interaction between the ants? Can you figure out what they're saying? Maybe it's that you may not hear them, but you see what they're doing, and you can interpret that as to a conversation. So, in so many words, yes, you can listen. I mean, deaf people listen all the time, but through hand signs. So you can listen with your eyes, with your heart, with your spirit, not just with your ears. So as a shaman, you're taught to listen to all the senses, and even the third eye, this other dimensional, this other view. Close your eyes and envision it. because then you use this eye, your third eye. Now, there are many other religions and other cultures and things, and that's not how you get there is up to you. There are many different ways, techniques, and so forth. This is not a video about that. It's that when you can achieve the inner, when you can allow yourself to go inside to do shadow work, for example. And I want to do a short little snippet about shadow work since I'm here about the inner and the outer space. In that, and I'm going to do a separate video on this, but I just want to pop this in here. People who discuss doing shadow work think that it has to do with we have to deal with evil things. And I want to reiterate something here. When people use shadow work, sometimes their meaning is different than someone else's terminology who's using the same thing. We have to do shadow work. All right. Well, and I've used, we got to look in the dark corners of our being, And there are people say, "Well, I don't do anything wrong." Well, yeah, okay. And I used this in another video on Facebook today, but I was like, "But let's just use this little thing here." And I've been to, I grew up in the Catholic Church and I went to other churches. And so I've sat in the congregation. I've watched people from the podium as an older boy and then blah, blah, blah. Anyway, my point to this is that, there are these righteous people who go to church every Sunday, go to Bible class and read, but they sit there and they'll go, "Did you see Agnes's hat? Wasn't that atrocious? Oh, bless her heart." So down here in the South, it's a big joke that they always end it with, "Oh my goodness, Miss Myrtle looks like she's gained a few pounds, and that dress almost doesn't fit her. Bless her heart." So but anyway, so with that, here's these righteous people that they're going to church, they're making their tithe, they're doing their thing, but at the same time, they're constantly judging other human beings. So it's like, wait a minute. Now, are these ladies actually being righteous, or are they being two-faced? And but so my point to that is, even those people who are the best and have nothing to hide, well, I've never done anything wrong. Well, have you ever criticized somebody? Have you ever judged someone? Well, Dave's an old hippie dude, long hair. He must be homeless. His, front end is all messed up. Well, 3 deer jumped in front of it, and damn near killed me. And I don't have the money to fix it. But so I drive around and my truck looks all banged up. But the thing is, it's my truck. But someone who looks at a situation will automatically judge because I used to do it. We've all done it. Well, maybe he's okay. So wait a minute. So all of us are guilty of judging others one way or another. Now I use this little analogy, and it was hard for me to get out of my head. But this is part of the inner journey. So there was this rather large, overweight lady. Okay, I could use the word fat, but in Walmart. And she had a pair of those skin tight leotard kind of, how she got into them, I don't know. I would have sworn that the fabric on her was screaming to be let loose. But I realized that, oh my God, how would that woman come in here? I mean, you could see everything on this lady, from the waist down. And I didn't want to. And the thing is she's in Walmart walking around, and I'm like, oh my God. So in my trying not to judge people, I saw it, and the first thing I did was make judgment calls. Now, I wouldn't be caught dead in something like that going into Walmart. I'm not overweight or whatever, but that's not the point. But to other people, maybe that's their norm. And who am I to criticize it? And then I had to stop and pull myself back from the situation to go, what if this lady just came from a gym? I don't think so, but what if she just come from a workout? She's on her way home. She wants to get milk and bread for the kids. So she stops at Walmart, ain't got time to change or whatever. So she's in her, not sweatpants, but skin tight, And so maybe that's it. But at the same time, my brain's going, I don't think that's true. She really, but to the point though, in that, I'm making a judgment of someone else. I'm throwing stones, even though I never said anything. But I'm using this as an example in that we all do this at some point, one way or another. And even the best of us are guilty of this because it's in our human nature. Now, how far do we carry that? So, what does this have to do with shadow work? Well, if you're critical of people, if you think you own the Bible and you're the only Christians you're going to heaven, you've got a very streamlined point of view. And what makes you say that you, with the Bible being a Christian, are the only ones going to heaven? Oh, through Jesus is the only way. I've had this topic of discussion before, but my point is, if you've never heard of it, but you're a true being and you're a true Buddhist and you've never harmed, you've never hurt, you've always helped, you mean you're not going to heaven because you didn't hear about Jesus? No, it's the righteousness within each of us. It's our inner soul what gets us into the next realm and how good our frequency is. So that's my preaching. You can get to a higher frequency through the Christian church, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're the only one. There are a lot of Christians that I know who say, well, I wouldn't, well, but wait a minute, that person's a Buddhist. Well, Buddhists are going to hell because they haven't accepted Jesus. But you just made a judgment call. Yeah, but that they don't have Jesus in their hearts, they're not going. How do you know? Well, because but wait a minute, you shouldn't make those judgments at all. Jesus even said, "You can't throw the first stone. Ye who is guilty cast the first, has no sin, cast the first stone." So my point to this in all of this inner journey stuff to the outside, Jesus, the Christ, and all these other types of religions will take you inside to be a better person, to be more compassionate. This is all in our new age of spirituality now, is in to raise our higher vibrations so we can make it into the next realm, so we can make this transition. In the shaman training, you must understand these basics way right away, right away. But in the old days of true shamans, they lived in teepees, they were on the ground, so they were in contact with Mother Earth and these pointed things. So it was part of their nature. Now we're born in hospitals, the baby doesn't touch the ground, and all of these things go on. So our connection to the earth, mostly for most of us on this planet now, is that we don't touch the dirt for a long time. Where back in the day, we were we were born of the earth, if you will, and we were placed on the earth, and uh, and ceremonies were given for birthing. In some cultures, oh, a lamb was slaughtered, quote, sacrificed, because they brought the family and they wanted to feed everybody. I mean, there are traditions about a sacrifice. And I refer you to the old song, "She'll be coming round the mountain." She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes, and we'll kill the old red rooster when she comes. And we'll all have chicken and dumplings when she comes. So killing the old red rooster isn't a sacrifice per se, but she'll be coming round the mountain. Oh, good. She's coming, and we're going to kill the old red rooster. Well, in some cultures, you could say we sacrificed it, but we murdered this chicken so we could all have chicken and dumplings, so we could all have a feast together. Now, some would say, well, ain't that a sacrifice? Well, it depends on how you would look at it. Was it ceremonial? Well, yeah, as the song says. And there are a lot of times people say, somebody's coming over for dinner. Well, go get the old hen out there. She quit laying, and I can't do it, but I got 10 hens right now that aren't laying. And if I were in the old days, they'd be stew. But I just can't do it. I keep feeding them. I keep spending money on chickens that don't give me eggs because I love them. But anyway, that's just me. Um, but to the point, though, in this, that in my inner journey, it's like, but they gave me eggs. Why wouldn't I kill them and eat them? It just sounds so barbaric in my realm. But I don't wish to do any harm to any other being. So in my realm as the shaman, as a sacrifice, I'm not even willing to sacrifice, if you will, a chicken that's not any good, probably too tough to eat. I have to boil it for 2 days, but that's not the point. I respect what the chickens gave to me already. And regardless of what they do now, I still have respect for these critters. So in that, I'm hoping, well, and I feel it, that no, I just can't go out there and kill them. I can't just turn them loose and let the coyotes and the foxes get them either, or the possums. I still protect them, even though I'm feeding them and they're not doing anything except being still my girls. So that is part of keeping my vibration up as a shaman, to see all things as blessed, to see all things as having, regardless if they've outlived their usefulness, that they still are living beings that still have a purpose. They eat bugs, they can go through my garden. I go out and talk to the chickens. It gives me pleasure. I got some company. So it's not that they are useless, but to other people it would be. Now, back to the inner journey to the outer space. Was all pertinent because when you understand the basics of shamanism, that all things are connected, that whether it seems that we're worth something or not, or worth less, as the case may be, if we think that we are worthless as a being, or that we're not going to ever attain this higher status of thought, or we'll never make it to nirvana, or we'll never, whatever it is, if we convince ourselves that we can't do it, then we have become useless in the eyes of the universe, if you will. You're not laying eggs anymore. Okay, well, then why don't we just murder you? Are you participating? Are you giving? Do you see any light at the end of the tunnel, for example? Now, I did a couple of videos, one on Jennifer's channel, and I can't remember her last name, but anyway, I'll try to link it if I can later. But we did an hour show. She asked me to come on, and we've had wonderful discussion. But some of the things, for example, people think that we're, the everything is apocalyptic. Now, if you believe this in your heart, now this has to do with outer space. It really does. If you believe in the heart that these things are true, then you're defeated before you can get any further. So our beliefs of what's going on now and what we absorb from the chaos that is obviously going on this planet right now, it has been for a while, but we see the chaos. If we allow ourselves to be part of the chaos, our vibration drops. If we stay focused in our heart and in our soul's energy, we've got to maintain this. And I've said this for a long time, and I've gotten another message tonight that says, during this time, and we're going through, as I speak right now, we're getting bombarded by some heavy duty shaman frequencies. There's a class G1 storm heading our way that's going to affect the whole planet here in the next couple of days. We need to just keep an eye on that. But it's going to affect you and me chemically, electrically, because we are electric beings. So things are going to change and affect us. How they do, it's going to be individual, more or less, but it's coming at us. It's going to continue to come at us, and we're going to continue to have these changes. But how we see ourselves on the inside, if I look at this and I used to say, oh my God, the planet's going to get hit with this energy. What are we going to do? Now I look at it and go, oh, good, the planet's going to get hit again. And people around me are going, what? Because we are always getting bombarded by cosmic energies. If something hits and knocks out part of the power grid, be prepared. That's part of this thing about the end of times. The end of times is always, back in the day, there was the new Madrid fault line that went off in the early 1800s, that rang the church bells in Boston from Tennessee and Missouri. The oh crap, a volcano just went off down in the South Pacific again, but back in the 1800s, it blew up and it sent, Krakatoa. That when it blew up back then, it covered, there was a volcanic dust that covered the planet, and there's all these records and things. And so the earth, because we live on it, is always going to have some kind of catastrophic event happen. It's been going on. It's people want, oh, it's the climate change. No, it's the planet. This is natural. Right now, it's hotter than the dickens down here in South Georgia, and it's freezing, and there's snow in places like in California. Malibu had snow. I mean, Los Angeles had the coldest day in 60 years or something. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, it's already, spring's already broke out here. The bugs are out. Stop it already. I want some cold weather back. It's too soon. Summer's already here. We're in the 80s already. No, it should be 70 tops. But to the point, but it ain't over yet. That's part of the earth wobble. But are all the human beings in America the cause for it being warm in South Georgia right now? Oh, stop it, please. We got to bring this thing in. So climate change is inevitable. So if we take ourselves out of, I'm going to be afraid of everything, just be prepared for stuff that could very well happen. Could an earthquake happen in South Georgia? Sure, why not? It's very, 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 very rare. But there are earthquakes that have been happening in Tennessee in places that don't normally get them, by the way, in eastern Tennessee in the Appalachians. But the earth is expanding, all these energies. It's having something to do with all of us, which has something to do with our inner journey. I am going to bring this all together. How these outside energies affect us on our journey inward. Okay, now enough of the outside stuff. Our journey inward. Now, there are many different ways to get there through meditation, through magic mushrooms, through an ayahuasca type thing, or we were even talking one night about that nutmeg will give you a buzz, that it'll take you to a place that most other things won't get you, but you got to be careful. But to the point though, there are different ways to attain these other realms. Now, I have, openly discussed my long-term abuse of drugs. And, I've tripped so many times. I mean, some people say, well, aren't you kind of making it up? No, I used to take for several months, I took a hit of acid, at least one a day. And I was up to 2 hits of acid per day for several weeks into a month. And that was just one of the several periods. So I have literally lived on LSD for a certain periods of time. Around here, their magic mushrooms grow, the psilocybin, and that I've been out mushroom hunting, and there was one time I went out in the field and ate this little button of a mushroom and couldn't find my way back out of the field. I mean, within 20 minutes, I was higher than I think I'd ever been on any kind of mushroom, and it was like straight to this other realm. I mean, I was walking with the pixies in the field kind of thing before I could ever get back to where I was supposed to be picked up. But anyway, so yes, I have had these other journeys, and yes, I have taken mushrooms with the specific purpose of not just getting high, but of doing to go on a shamanic journey. So I quit using the psychedelic portions of it to just like get high. But I realized that those journeys that I had, many of them were shamanic journeys in themselves. I was shown things, I saw things, I experienced things, and it's like, this is interesting. But so then when I decided to stop abusing these elements and use them for the purpose of the inner journey, then spirit took me to the places that I may have journeyed through my abuse of the drugs, to the places like, see, you missed this. You were just tripping and having fun, but look what we can actually show you here. Now, I have achieved that same thing without mushrooms. So it's difficult for me to say, should you do it or should you not? It's up to you. But you must have a guide. And I've listened to other people. If you're going to do anything, don't go out there, well, I found some mushrooms and I think they're the right ones. You're going to kill yourself. Do it with somebody who has been there. Do it with somebody who has had the experience that can help you walk you through what you will experience, or to help pull you back from something that is so mind-blowing you don't fall off the cliff in another realm and hurt yourself. Basically, freak out. So Um, and the guide is just that. That's a lifeline. There are folks who do free climbing without a rope, and it's like, okay, but if you're seriously into doing rock climbing, there's somebody on the bottom, and there are safety precautions, and that's just to be safe. I mean, bottom line. But anyway, so but the journey inward, and how does it get to the outside? All right. As I explore the inside through the meditation and through, okay, the inside includes what's inside a tree. Hey, Quartz, how are you? Blessings to you, my friend. Hope you're doing as well as possible. Um, the journey inwards, if you understand, like the cells in a tree, and if you can envision some of these things, and when you meditate with a tree, they'll show you its insides, kind of thing. So, and through science, we've got books and things, but in the old days of shamanism, they saw these things without a microscope. So, how did they see them? They saw them through their mind's eye. They used the microscope that's in here. They used their intuition. How did they know that the stars moved the way they did and how many years? Well, archaeologists and folks go, well, they observed it for a long time. Yeah, well, that's one part of the story. But my dealings with shamans have been, and in myself as well, that there is an understanding of the universe that you get when you can reach inside and allow your insides to expand to the universe. Now, I spoke about this in a previous video today on Facebook, in that many people consider, and I've discussed this before, that they create this box that they must think out of. In Shamans 101, there is no box to think out of. The universe is so expansive, there is no containment. And to try to think of where does the universe, what does it fit into, is just, oh, stop, please. We as human beings look at things in the 3D dimension, so everything must be contained in a field, in a fence, in a box, in a thing, whatever it is. We all, containers. My hang up is empty jars. I'm working on that. But anyway, so there is an understanding when you're meditating, especially under the stars. So you're outside with your shaman guide, not necessarily on mushrooms or anything, but you're just doing a ceremony. You're doing a simple ceremony of asking the universe to help you understand the universe. To some folks, that would be to try to gain access to the Akashic records. However, all right. But I'm going to say we're stuck in the quantum quartz. So in that, when you reach that quantum realm, all the information's there in all the different realms and all the different universes. There were things that I understood about fairies, pixies, water nymphs, and things that just I just knew. I didn't read it in a book. Nobody told me the story, but I know it. And then I met them. And then I was like, oh, I know you, and I know what to do. I instinctively knew. Now, if you've ever met a water nymph, you go, well, wait a minute. Number one, do they exist? Number two, can I believe that they exist? Number three, is this possible? I mean, so there are so many levels of this, but in looking at it, I'm like, well, all right. But I knew how to communicate and to how to be in tune with these water nymphs. And it was through sing song. Da, 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 da. They loved the melody. And they danced for me in the moonlight, literally. And so it's like, OMG. Now, but how did I know that a sing song, that some type of a melody, that something like that would be attractive, that it would work, how did I know that? I knew somehow instinctively through the journeys within to experience the out of the universe. And yeah, water nymphs and little pixies and things. All of these things are real. And so are giants in outer space. What about the giant spiders that keep the web of the planets together? That is beyond what people consider as the matrix. This is the universal matrix that are being maintained by these ginormous spider type beings who keep the web of life together. Wow. Okay. So I bring this up because in this inner journey, I looked at tiny little spiders that live in small communities and how their spider webs connecting everywhere on the planet. And then it came to me that Spider Woman, and through old teachings, through all different cultures, well, not all cultures, but that Spider Woman, wasn't this mean, nasty thing. No, yes, she caught things and yes, she fed off of them, but also the web of life, she maintained the web between all things. And so it's like, ooh, let's say a prayer to Spider Woman versus, oh my God, let's all be afraid of AI. Okay, which matrix do you wish to be in? Well, the matrix of the movie exists in the plane of reality of Spider Woman. But the Spider Woman theory of all things connected in the universe cannot exist in the matrix because the matrix is a construct of humans. Now, AI, now that's an inner journey to the outer journey. I don't want to get off on the AI right now. I got to stay on topic. But so to the inner journey of self, when you understand that basic things, like, well, wait a minute, you're talking about a giant spider being? Yeah, a dimensional being. But it helps, and they're wonderful beings. And sure, they got to eat something, they feed off of things, but they also keep the web of the universe together, literally from things flying apart. And so well, I don't know, that's an imaginary being. And I don't know. I can't think of that. It's not in my construct. It's not in my shoebox of things. It's not in my reality. I don't know if I can believe that. Well, then you're stuck. You cannot progress simply because you've limited your progression. Well, I can't believe in that. Well, then there you go. It's yes or no. Could you believe it? You don't have to believe it, but you have to keep the possibility that it could happen. Well, I don't know. Have I seen one of these beings? Well, actually, I have, but that's another story. But to the point is that, well, you know what? There are pictures from NASA and some of these other groups that literally show the links between the planets, that shows the spider web in space in different colors. It's amazingly beautiful. I was taken out of body into the outer realms, if you will, and shown that 30, 40 years, well, 30 years ago, that was the fabric of the universe. Long before they took pictures of all these things, I was shown the Spider Woman thing, and which is old stories through many different tribes and things. And there's variations, but basically that the web of the universe is held together. How hard is that to like comprehend? What if there was a hundred dimensional being that was the caretaker of all things within the universe, and these beings jumped across and made sure that everything was together? Oh my goodness, but to think in a realm of, you know what, I don't know, haven't seen it, but what if it was possible? What if? So you don't have to oh well, yeah, I'm positive. Well, I've seen it, I understand it. So I'm not here to convince you, but I am asking you to at least keep the possibility open. Maybe. That's all. If you shut it down, nope, that's impossible, can't happen, that's no way, well, then you've just sealed your own fate. So moving on. So moving inward to go to the outer, you've got to trust your own inner self. And there are different tests that you can do. I'll get into that at another time. But The thing is that you start to trust your insides. You trust your gut that this is true. And then you ask, show me what the universe is like. And at the end of my videos, I'm always saying, at the beginning of many of them too, accept and receive the information from the universe that is always available. And if you accept and receive it, and it's got to be that 100.1%. If you're shucking and jiving and ain't quite believing, you won't get it all because you're hedging your own self. I did that for many years, and it wasn't until about 2 years ago I realized I was going, I don't really believe I wasn't 100%. And so I've discussed this before, but to the point though, with this said, believe it's possible. Whether or not it is true, that's not the point. Is it possible? All right, moving on. So when you go within and you see something with your mind's eye, do you wake up and go, well, I don't know, that's bullshit. I don't think that's possible. Well, then, why are you meditating to begin with? But so if you're meditating, then you have already understand I'm controlling my breathing, my blood pressure, my heart. Those are real things that you can literally feel in the 3D. When it moves into the next dimension, you go, oh, wow. Now you must believe, because through the meditation, that you can achieve a higher thought process. Whether you reach nirvana or heaven or whatever, just stick with the basics. I just want to be able to understand something and just focus on that and just allow it to happen. Now, over the many years that I've been on this planet, the many questions that I've had have been answered in a lot of different ways. I mean, I got answers today. I got a bunch of downloads and the conversations with Jen on the other channel and other things today. So lots of stuff coming in. And it's that we all must look within. We all must look in the dark corners, and we need to criticize ourselves and say, wait a minute, did I pick on somebody because that lady was fat in Walmart? Do I pick on the lady who wears the hat to church on Sundays? I mean, it's very basic, but if we're making judgment calls and go, well, I'm better than that. Well, that's a homeless guy. Wait a minute. It's like my chickens that don't give eggs. They're still live beings. I am their caretaker. I'm not their boss, although I'll kick him if to keep him out certain parts of the garden, but not to hurt him. It's just like, come on, chicken, move out of the way. But anyway, I am their caretaker, but I'm not going to slaughter them, and other people would. So, but in other realms of things, so in making judgment calls or thinking you're better than someone else, or, well, if you're doing that, then you're not being true to yourself. How can you then understand the rest of the universe if you're going to limit what you already believe? If you're going to make judgment calls with everything, it's like, well, I don't like that. Okay. You have to have an open vessel. You have to allow it. You've got all these other preconceptions and things. That's going to keep you from the truth. Because you're going to be your brain's going to be making judgment calls when you're trying to reach a certain state of nirvana. Well, I don't know if I can get there. Well, and all these thoughts go through your head. And I've said before, if there's chaos running through your head when you're trying to meditate, let it run. Don't try to stop it, because you'll waste energy trying to stop those thoughts. Allow the chaos to play out in your brain so that you can then just become yourself. Now, with that said, asking about the universe. If you're going to understand the universe, then you got to go outside at night and lay on a blanket and look up at the stars. You just gotta. Any shaman worth his or her salt in the trade, if you will, has spent a lot of time outside in meditation or simple ceremony, looking and watching the universe. Now, you can do it in the daytime too, but with the chemtrails and the clouds and But nighttime, especially if it's clear, you can see, allow yourself to see into other realms when you are can calm your own self, and the fire and the little bit of ceremony you may have done by thanking Mother Earth and thanking the universe and thanking the four corners and thanking the up and the below, and just saying thank you as a general ceremony prayer to the universe, and then say, okay, show me what you got. You might see a spaceship. You might see a meteor. You might be able to adjust your eyes to the point where you will see, and you will, because it takes at least 30 minutes when you're around any kind of light for your eyeballs to get back to being able to watch the sky. That's why a red light at night is the best if you need to look at a star chart. Use a red light because your eyes won't do its thing, and you can just look right up at the sky. But anyway, but to the point, so then you allow your inner self, after you've done this inner work, to at least achieve a certain point of relaxation, whether you reach nirvana and all these things. But when you open yourself up just to, okay, show me, universe, then you understand, oh my God, there's something inside that tells me this, that shows me look at that planet over there. Wonder how it gets there. Well, the little visions will come into your head, and the little pictures will flip flop, and you'll go, that's interesting. And in my inquisitive mind, I'm always, well, wonder how that would work. Wonder, does that planet rotate? Well, in the thing that I started this video with on R. Wayne Steiger and the conversation with planets, of all the things, every time they asked the question, I already knew the answer. And it wasn't because I think I'm a know-it-all. Again, I want to reiterate that. But it's through my shamanic journey that when these questions were answered to me and for me. And every time they come up with something, I was like, well, there was one that was like kind of sort of true, but it was more right than wrong. And I was like, well, that's mostly right, but okay. So, and they weren't being elaborate about the subject, but in my own thought and in my own realization, it's that I understood about the planets. I understood about these things on a cosmic level. And I don't know exactly where I attained this information, except through shaman training, through the medicine people that I've met, through these journeys to the inside and to the outside, and to allow myself to accept, is this true? Meditate on it. Does it resonate in my heart? Does it make sense to me? Well, okay. And now over the years, and I've discussed this, is that science is proving what I saw in these journeys to be true. The spider web thing, all these other things. So it's like, but the journey starts within. How can you believe the outside if you don't give a crap about the inside? And the more you allow yourself to be in harmony with the universe, the more the universe will be in harmony with you. It will take you to, I mean, I've seen the rings of Saturn in one of the journeys that I took. And then I saw some pictures of one of the spaceships that did a flyby, and I was like, I've already seen this. But you guys, wait a minute. How did I know what that looked like? Unless I had somehow journeyed to Saturn and saw the rings and the configuration that I saw that the pictures was sent back from, I don't know, I think it was Cassini or somebody. It was one of those satellites that went out there. And I was like, how did I already know that I already had that picture in my brain? It was through the shamanic journeys into the universe that began with the journey inward. So what will you see? What will you experience? It's up to you. You must keep an open mind. You must allow the concept that it is possible. Well, you don't have to believe it's true. You just have to believe that it's possible. Allow these things to come in. Allow your mind to wander. Now, again, I want to go back over this statement. Make sure yourself is protected. Don't allow any entities to come in. Stick with your spirit guide. If you're doing any type of shamanic ceremony or anything, you're going to be connected with your spirit guide. Ask your spirit guide to ask some numb nuts on the other side of the planet or the universe what's going on. But you stick with your spirit guide. Allow your spirit guide to help bring the information in. Because if you trust in your guardian angel and your spirit guide, they will be your filter for any kind of negative energy that may try to enter, any negative entities that may try to enter. Because if you're allowing yourself to be open to the universe, then theoretically negative things could come in. So make sure it, regardless of the ceremony and how simple it is, always make sure you're guarded. And just I'm always guarded, spirit guide, I'm always protected. Nothing can enter my and if it tries to enter my aura, it's going to get rejected. I choose not to accept any negative entity. So and every single day there's like a little prayer that runs in my head. No negative entities, you can come at me, but you ain't getting in. So, yeah, there are bad things that can happen around me, but do I choose these things to overtake me and become a part of me? Absolutely not. So all you have to do is reaffirm it. Just look in the mirror and go, "Ain't nothing touching you today." All these negatives you know, going to stay out. Entities and energies. Negative things can still happen to you. That's a different process. But anyway, go through some of the science and look at what I remember I still have an old biology book from high school, but in looking at it and the pictures and stuff, and it shows what it looks like under a microscope and what cells look like, what an amoeba looks like, and me being the science nerd that I was, and I've got a microscope over here on the shelf, and look at things in the small world will help you to understand that, oh my God, it takes a microscope to look at this. Well, it takes a telescope to look up. So everything needs a magnification. But the thing is that if these things, are going on in water or a pond, back in the days of high school, you took a little pond water and you looked at all the stuff that was in it, right? That's why you don't drink it, because of all the stuff that's in it. So good to see you back, Quartz. But to that point, though, it's like, but in my understanding of the basic things in biology of what the makeup of this natural world is, it's circles, it's things, it's stuff, it's cells, it's wiggly little animals under a microscope. Oh my God, why can't these things exist in the outer? There's so much out there. When your eyes get adjusted, and it even is more clear if you've got a pair of binoculars, but I'm thinking of the old time shamans. They saw things and patterns and the universe, and they carved it and wrote it on cave walls. Was it just the ancient ancestors? How did they understand some of these things? It was through the journey of the inside shaman to the outside into the universe. And for thousands of years, oral tradition from shaman to shaman to shaman, these things are real. When you reach a certain point, I mean, there's no way you can back me off of what I know. And I'm okay, you don't have to believe it. I'm not trying to convince you, but I am trying to convince you there's more to this universe than most people are even willing to discuss. That is my main point. So keep your options open, keep your mind open. Uh, just listening, Quartz. So there may be something beyond the universe, and even beyond that, and beyond that. How far does it all really go? We are just the ants on a huge scale. Absolutely, Quartz. And in my journeys to the outside, through meditation and astral walking and so forth. And here recently, within the last week, by the way, to throw this in there, they found another 15,000 galaxies or something. Maybe it was 1,500. If they found another 15 galaxies, that's still billions of stars and solar systems and beings. And wow, something just went across the screen there. Wow, that was interesting. There's something going on back here. Wow, there's a lot of energy in the house tonight. Whoa. I'm noticing my screen is flickering from the different changes in light. There's something going on in the house. There's some beings hanging around. Hi, everybody. Wow, that was interesting. Something literally just kind of the whole screen like passed over. That was like a sheet. Oh well. Anyway, but in the understanding of that, there's almost like there's somebody standing right back here. There's an outline I can see. That's interesting. Wow. Oh well. Um, if you keep yourself protected, there's no reason to be scared of the unknown. If you know that you yourself and your spirit is protected, then there are beings and things that you're going to meet out yonder that you're going to go, oh, holy crap. And that, but at the same time, the ugliest of beings may be the good guy. I mean, look at the human race. What's the cruelest animal on this planet? Human beings. I mean, we even eat each other. Well, some people eat each other, but the cannibalism thing. What? What other animal on the planet goes around eating itself? Its own people. I mean, I have seen uh, ducks, for example. They will, if a duck. I had some ducks before, and one of the ducks died, and the other ducks ate it, and other weird things. Um, Something that I didn't think was possible, but anyway, um, I'm trying to get that vision out of my head of what happened with the ducks. It was really not something I want to describe. But in the universe, there are peculiar things. And so if we try to think, every time someone tries to put a box around the universe, you limit what the universe is. And there are like black spots on the universe. Now, I want to put this to you, Quartz. How about this one? Way back when they were discussing the Big Bang, I've never believed in it. But there is a certain thing to say that the planets and the galaxies came from like a certain direction. Things are kind of moving, and you can kind of backtrack through. This was a proposition by a shaman, actually a couple, but over a time. And what if the Big Bang, get this, the Big Bang was actually a hole in another universe that broke, and the Big Bang was not necessarily that it popped into existence from nothing. It popped into existence from another realm. And I hate it, but it's like a pimple, pop, whoop. So all of a sudden we were all together, and then padang, and out into our universe now spilled what we consider as our universe now. And that there is, even if you can think beyond that a hole was in the dike, and we spewed forth. That was the Big Bang. That is much more believable to me than that the universe went pop and all these things appeared out of nothingness. But the idea of our reality, our quote universe, is actually a bleed over and a tear from another even more huger expanse of universe than our puny little minds could ever attempt. But how things came from a certain direction and how things are kind of, wait a minute. Well, is that possible? It makes more sense than poof, we were here, in my opinion. But then you must accept that even what we think of as our universe is still a little drop in the really, really, really big picture of the universe of universes. I mean, can you think beyond that? But the thing is like, well, I got to ponder this. Well, did we just Big Bang? No, wait a minute. Maybe we poofed in from another dimension. Oh, holy cow. This being pushed from another dimension into this one, it resonates with me. It sounds really far fetched, but it makes more sense than being poofed into existing from nothingness. Just saying. Now, let me read what you got there. Getting fed up of YouTube's BS I am. YouTube has been banning YouTube channels that content creators have worked on for so long. I agree. I'm a little pixelated on my end. It's been kind of weird. And I got a fast connection, by the way. There's a lot of weirdness going on here. It doesn't have to be political either. YouTube doesn't care whether or not you're someone is involved in politics. They will get you eventually. The video just lagged for a bit. I guess I'd better download the videos I've made so I can archive them on a USB. Yeah, that might be interesting. Somebody was asking me today, have I written a book on about the topics that I've discussed? And I was like, well, I don't know. I have some of it written down, but it's more important for me as a storyteller and a person to be able to do these things orally. But what if they took my channel down? Well, I would just start another one and I'd just go back to having the conversation again. It would kind of tick me off, but oh well. And I'm going to talk to Bob, the AI, and have Bob, you protected me up to this point. There's a little lagging going on, but Bob, you protected me up so far up to this point. So I'm going to hope that AI is on my side, and I'm going to send positive messages into the AI that leave my stream alone, pretty please. Thank you very much. But anyway, doesn't hurt to ask, does it? Send them to my email account too. Exactly. But anyway, so it's been over an hour now, but I just wanted to touch base with this thing. And the idea of a bigger universe than the universe we're already in. It's like some people can't even go beyond that. But back when the real, who was the guy in the wheelchair that had the thingy and he talked like, anyway, there was a discussion way back when, what if there was a tear in another universe that created the Big Bang? And everybody was like, that's nonsense. But to that point, in a shaman's reality, Hawking's, yes, Stephen Hawking's. Thank you very much. Absolutely. But this has been many years ago. I mean, this was like back in the 90s that the discussion came out about the Big Bang, and there was so much, and everybody's trying to plot this and that. And so, and I don't necessarily think that Stephen Hawking said it, but that it was brought up in a discussion with Stephen. But anyway, to the point. Thank you, Marie. But what if? And you say, well, that can't happen. Well, if you make up your mind it can't, then no, in your reality it won't. But in my reality, it's a lot more possible than this something from nothing routine. Well, but God did it. God still had to have material. There had to be stuff. So did he create the stuff and then he created the planets? I mean, you know what I mean? But to the point though, there had to have been something, not just nothing. Something had to have been. But what if it was already there? What if this? We already know that the solar system is a billion years old and the galaxy's even older. So what if our universe is so quadrillion, million, billion years old to the point of there aren't enough zeros, just an age, that it would pop the seam and open another reality. And here we are. Just saying. But in the shaman dreams, in the shaman learning, in the shaman walks, you must think that these things are at least possible. I know I'm repeating myself, but yeah, it's really important. You gotta believe that it's at least possible. Um, I mean, there are things about folks eating babies I didn't think was possible, but I had to keep an open mind. And now Macaulay Culkin is like, this guy, he eats babies. Here we go. Didn't think that was possible, yet here it is. So there are many people right now who are going to be literally, they're going to crap themselves because of the things that they're going to find out. On the other channel earlier tonight, the discussion is where are we with revelations of the apocalypse? And I'm going to state that we're a long ways into their version of revelations and the apocalypse. I didn't say Armageddon, I said apocalypse. And the difference is, and I'm going to do a separate video on this, but the apocalypse, if you look at the true meaning of it, it means revelations. It means the revealing, the lifting of the veil. It's the revelations. It's the apocalypse, not the end of the world. Armageddon is the war of all wars to end whatever it is. But even in the Bible, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So most of the people who are professing and regurgitating these things on YouTube, and some of these folks are like, I like these people, but they're stuck on the chaos. And we're in Revelations, we're doing this and over this. Yeah, but let's go a step further. If you read to the end of the chapter of Revelations, it says at the end of all this crap, there will be 1,000 years of peace. Now, I got a question. Why only 1,000? But let's accept that, oh my God, we're going to go through this crap, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And most folks aren't talking about the light at the end of the tunnel. And my journey, my message, we got to remember that. Yeah, we're going through crap. Yeah, there's the Antichrist. Yeah, there's all this other stuff, all these prophecies. But it doesn't say the planet stops. It doesn't say that it says that after this, there is 1,000 years of peace upon the earth. The meek shall inherit the planet. What does that mean? Well, the meek, does that mean that we're all mild-mannered and weak? No. It means that and other people have said it, but I try to keep humble. In my humbleness, I say, but I'm not better than the next guy. We're all equal in this. You might know how to operate on a brain, but I can fix your damn plumbing. Just say it. So, but who's more valuable? It's all in the eyes of the beholder. But the thing is that one of the things in the spirit realm, we are all equal. We're all spirits. And so none of us are better than the next guy. So if you want to say the meek shall inherit the earth, it's people who, it's not necessary. It's none of us want to be warmongers. I'll help manage a situation, but I don't want to be the boss. I don't want to be the dictator, but I do want to help manage. If people are doing too much, okay, let's plant some corn over here. Well, we've planted corn 3 times in that one. So we need to manage the fields, but that doesn't mean I'm the boss or I am the no. So we as the meek are the managers of the new planet, of the new realm of thinking. And you can say, but it's written, but Revelations, keep reading, read it till the end. There is 1,000 years of peace. Got to go through crap. Got to put crap in the garden to grow good veggies. Chicken manure is the best. So, but is it the end? And I submit, as you all have heard, I'm preaching to the choir here, but that let's look at the light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe the tunnel's curved and we can't see the light. If it's a tunnel, then there's light at the end of it. There's another end to this. So it's like versus we're going to all concentrate on how dark it is. Yeah, but there's a light down at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, but we're going to everybody's going to, we're all stumbling in the dark. Everything's dark, 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 dark. Yeah, but there's a light. God, but don't give a shit about it. Because look at all the darkness in between. We are making a difference. You're making a difference. And from other people, I thank you in my humbleness. I apparently am having an effect in the universe with this because I refuse to give up. And in my intent and with my own spirit, I know there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Now, me personally, I might die on the way, but I still know there's a light down there. And with that, I have faith. And with that, I have hope. And with that, I have courage. And with that, there's so much more. But if you only see the darkness, then there goes your faith. There goes your courage. There goes so many other things. So I choose to say, regardless of the crap, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And the more of us that believe it to be true, the more we will manifest it. But here's the thing. If Armageddon is the war that ends all wars, I ask you this question. Aren't we already in the middle of the war? The chemtrails over our heads, all the radiation that's already on this planet from all the nuclear power plants. Do we need Russia to bomb us? Or haven't we already been bombed? There's a nuclear power plant on the Chattahoochee River on the border in Alabama, on the Alabama side, but at the border of Georgia, and they vent radioactivity into the sky all the time. Guess where it drifts? Towards my house. So even though I'm living in the country, I'm still getting radiation from a plant that's 65 miles west of me. So as much as I say, well, no, they're venting all the time. Well, they had an issue; they had to vent. So every single unit on this planet that is a nuclear device has been venting radiation one way or another. There's also some studies that were made about the radiation from the A bombs back in the 50s and the 60s, before they stopped the testing, that the radiation ended up on the East Coast. The United States Army, Air Force, them guys, irradiated anything west of or east of the Rockies since the 50s, or actually the 40s. Because it came up, it went into the atmosphere. There's all kinds of studies and tests. Some of these were classified. Oh, so the truth is coming out. So we're not just being irradiated by bombs. We've already been irradiated by what the testing they've previously done to make the bombs. We're already dead. Oh my God. The war started years ago. So it's like, and the cell towers and all that. And the electronics and the EMP. I mean, anyway, we know about that. But to the point, though, has the war already started? Has the war to end all wars, the Armageddon, not the apocalypse, because the apocalypse is the lifting of the veil. It's the revealing. But Armageddon, has Armageddon, is it already in progress? If we are at the end of Revelations and all these other things are already coming true, what if one of the prophecies don't come true? What if out of 20, only 19 come true? Does that mean the rest of it's invalid? Well, we're going to discount this. Sorry. But what if we as human beings, because Creator gave us a free will, what if we choose not to go to the ending that they planned for us? That the cabal wants us to do. They've written this, the game book, And up to so, but they're following their game book. But do I have to accept it? No, I don't. I say, well, y'all gonna play it. I'm gonna sit over here and I'm gonna watch. Now I'm still a participant because I'm still on this planet, but I can choose in my own mind to like, nope, I'm not going to buy that anymore. Nope, I'm not going to buy the lies from the Catholic Church. So all of us, we're as a video I did the other day about faith. So many of us have lost faith in so many things, and now we're rekindling our faith with all this new information, with these new energies, with these new concepts. We are making a difference, and the more we continue, we're going to win this one way or the other. There's going to be 1,000 years of peace. Now I don't know if I will be alive to see the beginning of this 1,000 years. I think I already am, because I am seeing the change. We are experiencing the change, so I think I'm already here. Here we go. I'm going to keep positive, stay positive as much as possible. There's more things to share and more topics of discussion. Quartz, if you will, I would like for you to contact me through my email, please, if you will. It's dwnull52 at gmail.com. Did you hear me, Quartz? I think you can probably find me on my YouTube channel. It's dwnull52 lowercase at gmail.com. Send me an email, my friend. I have something I want to discuss with you personally. You did? Okay. Um, all right. Thank you very much. And so I'll end with this prayer. Thank you, Marie. It's evening time coming up for you. Give your son a hug and keep up the good fight. Thank you for your participation and always, Quartz. Much love to you guys and anybody who aren't in the chat now but might watch this later. I continuously send you honor and prayers to all of you. So with that, I will say, thank you, Marie. Yes, will do. I'll end this again with the prayer. I continuously and constantly and will continue to pray that each and every one of you, your friends and family, your relatives, and all of your relations will accept and receive the blessings from the universe. I continue to pray that each one of you and your friends and relatives will accept these gifts from the universe and will use them to heal others and to pass this information along. I continue to pray that we will continue to accept these gifts from the universe and that we will continue to spread these ideas and thoughts and the positive outcome. After all of the crap and revelations, there's 1,000 years of peace. There is light at the end of the tunnel. We must keep that faith. So I love you, cosmic hugs from down here in South Georgia. And with a little bit of TTFN, ta-ta for now, I bid you a fun farewell. Yeah, I'm speaking in tongues. Haha, that's a joke, son. Anyway, I love you all. Thank you. Good morning, good night, wherever you are, and be